Hey, I'm Siobhan, and I love talking about all the things related to freedom and personal growth. And I'm on a journey to redefine freedom on my own terms as I become the woman I desire to be. Each week, I'll share in real time what I'm learning as I do my inner work while creating a safe space for my listeners to feel seen. If you desire to be free and live a life that feels good to you, then you're in the right place for beautiful conversations that's going to support you on your journey to freedom. Welcome to the Siobhan J. Middleton podcast. Now let's start the show. Hey, welcome back to another episode of my podcast. I'm so happy that you are choosing to tune in for another week. Okay, so this week I want to talk about the importance of changing things up or creating a change of scenery. There's 3 things that I've done over the last 2 weeks that as I was thinking about it this morning, I'm like, I want to share this on the podcast because I feel like it can be inspiring to someone else. So here we go. One of the things that I've done is, if you're following me on the gram, you already see that I dyed my locks blonde. And this was a part of my transformation journey. I started locking my hair back in February of 2022. And I remember my first appointment with my loctician, Curly. Hey, Curly. She was like, we're going to dye these blonde. Like, blonde is going to be so sexy on you. And that was me just starting my locks. And I was like, okay. And so it would be a little over a year before I was ready to dye them. But one thing that I was telling her as we were doing the process is that I've always dyed my own hair. For the last, I don't know how many years, when I was rocking my mohawk, I would stick to auburn or bright auburn. And it was pretty safe for me, but also I felt like, this is bold. And it became a part of my brand. Like, people recognized me by my hair first. Like, oh man, I love your hair. I love the color, all of the things. And as I was in her chair, I was like, I kept my hair red or auburn because that was me trying to be free, and it was me more in my comfort zone. And so when she told me my very first appointment with her that blonde would be so sexy on me and she couldn't wait to dye it blonde, I'm like, yes, I definitely want to get out of my comfort zone and try something new. And I want to do something that I would never do on my own. And so I made my appointment, and I said, I had texted her like, I'm ready to get my hair blonde, and so when I tell you I absolutely love my hair, when I saw it for the first time, I'm like, okay, I'm blonde. But it is so fitting. It is so fitting for this transformation journey that I'm on. It is fitting for my lifestyle and the freedom that I desire from the inside out. And I love how I went on the whole other end of the spectrum to dye my hair. Number one, lock my hair, because that's a big deal. And if you haven't listened to my journey and why I chose to lock my hair, go back and scroll through and find that particular episode because it will be very insightful. But locking my hair was a big deal. And now dyeing it blonde, I again feel so much more like myself because I'm making choices that are in alignment to the freedom that I crave and that I value and that I am living out loud. And if you haven't seen yet, go ahead and follow me on Instagram. The handle is in the show notes, and check out my blonde locks. And I'm going to tell y'all, I am totally feeling myself. And I've been telling everyone, I'm like, you know what they say about blondes? Blondes have more fun. And I am ready for all the fun, all the experiences. Like, can't nobody tell me nothing, okay? So that is the first thing that I wanted to share with you. The second thing is my trip to Tulum, Mexico. So about 2 weeks ago, I was in Tulum, and I booked the trip for several different reasons. Number one, the last year has been quite a year, okay? And I wanted to acknowledge and celebrate all of my growth and healing that I've done up until this point. Also, my divorce finalized about I don't know, several weeks ago. And I wanted to celebrate that. Like, that was a big deal. And I have an episode that I'm going to put out to kind of share more about that experience. But getting the divorce, I wanted to celebrate that. I wanted to celebrate my growth. And quite frankly, I needed a vacation, okay? Because y'all, it has been a lot. And so I have a friend who is living in Tulum for a little bit. And she was like, just book your flight and you can stay with me. Booked my flight for an amazing deal. And I was there for 4 days. And when I tell you it was, oh man, it was such a beautiful trip. And I did set the intention before I went that while I was there, I wanted to be present and I wanted to savor every moment. And I wanted to release whatever attachments that I had. I wanted to let that go. And I let her know that beforehand so that when I got there, I wouldn't be on Instagram all like that. I wouldn't be sharing every moment of my trip because I did not want to do that. I am going to put a reel together and share that. So you can definitely, check that out on Instagram. But I wanted to really be present in the moment. And I'm so proud of myself because I did exactly what I intended to do. And so the first 2 days, the first day I got there early in the morning. We went to this beautiful, luxurious beach club. Oh my gosh. The experience was something that I hadn't experienced before. And the food was delicious. The drinks was delicious. I mean, the weather was perfect. I looked so super sexy and cute in my swimsuit. The water was beautiful. Like, it was the most amazing experience being at the beach club and just having top tier service. And one of the things that I was sharing with my friend is that, I consciously chose every friend that I have in my life. And one of the things I notice about the friends that I've had, they have elevated my lifestyle. They have elevated my mindset. So things that I wouldn't typically choose, like when I was in Tulum a couple of years ago with another group of friends, I didn't know about top shelf alcohol. So I was exposed to that. I didn't know the ease of having a private chef in your villa. Like, even the villa that we stayed in, like, everything I hadn't experienced before. And so I'm like, it really matters the type of friends that you have in your life and the type of people that you surround yourself with, because you want to be around people who, number one, you add value to their life, but they add value to your life and they challenge you in beautiful ways, but they also elevate your experiences. And I can tell with the friends that I've had, like, my mindset has totally shifted where it's like, oh, no. I absolutely deserve to experience this type of lifestyle. And not only that, but I can afford it. So sometimes we think things are out of our reach or that we can't afford because we haven't even been around people who would expose us to those things. So even at the beach club, I'm like, oh yeah, I have this amount of money to do this. I deserve this experience. And it's just so fascinating how my mind has been stretched as it relates to money, as it relates to experiences. So that was day one. Day two, we went to this beautiful lagoon. Oh my gosh. And it was in this private area in this jungle type place. And there was this restaurant there. And then you walk out and you're surrounded by all this beautiful water. The water is so clear and it's warm. And there's butterflies just flying around. And just people there just truly enjoying their life. And when I tell you, my heart was so full. Again, another beautiful, warm day. The sun is shining and we're just laying out, enjoying the weather. And my God, the food, the drinks, the people we were around, it was the most beautiful experience ever. And even in that moment, I was like, number one, I've never been to a lagoon, but also to be there. And what my friend and I were talking about is how hours and hours had passed by and we were just enjoying each other's company and we were talking to the people there and everything. But also time didn't matter. Time was non-existent. And that allowed me to be present where I was because I wasn't worried about the next thing or anybody else but that moment. And it felt so good. And then the next day we went out to town and we had drinks. We drank a lot. I said, I drank so much while I was there that when I came back, I'm like, you know what? I can only drink water and coffee because the amount of alcohol that I drank there it was good for me. I loved it, but I'm like, ooh, child. And then also the alcohol is so different when you are in another country versus when you're in the U.S. So I was able to drink so much and was not affected by it like how I am sometimes when I'm here in the States. But anywho, so we went out to town, we shopped, we did all of that. And then that night we went to this club called Animo. Oh, it was so much fun, so much fun, so much fun. I mean, I think it was on like a rooftop situation. So many people there. Oh my gosh. Oh, just the music was good. So they started out with Afro beats and then transitioned to hip hop and R&B. And when Dreams and Nightmares came on by Meek Mill, I went off because that is my favorite song whenever it comes on. And I'm sure anybody listening, if you know that song, you're like, oh yeah, I go hard for that. So that was that day. And then the next day, oh my goodness, my other friend flew in. So it was all three of us and we went to a cenote, but this was a luxurious cenote. And it was in this private area where you had to get a pass to get in. And the DJ was just playing techno the whole time. And you rent out like different spaces. You get in the water, you jump off the cliff. Like, oh my God, it was just, we had the most delicious guacamole and chips and got bottles of alcohol, hookah, you name it. And it was a time. A time was had. Oh, and then we went out that night. So that was my trip in Tulum. And I'm sharing all that to say that I am so grateful that I took time to like celebrate myself. I got out of the country, hung out with my friend, took some time for myself. So I did do not a lot of journaling, but some journaling. And then I am reading this book, and I'll put it in the show notes, called A Renaissance of Our Own by Cargle. And so I spent a lot of time like reading the book, and the apartment that we were staying at, there was a pool outside. And so I just sat by the pool and read. And so that was really beautiful. And when I came back, so now I'm going into number 3, is that I had a boost of inspiration, a boost of like creativity. Like I am still on a high. And I realized so I got back on that Monday. On Tuesday, when I got back to work, I'm out and about doing my Instacarting thing. And I realized, and I've been out of the country many times. I've been traveling a lot over my life. So this traveling other places and then coming back to Cleveland is not new to me. However, this particular time, as I'm, doing Instacart, I'm like, it is lifeless here. Like, it's like I just saw people walking around like the Walking Dead. And when I tell you, my awareness to it was so strong, like I had never experienced this feeling before. And I'm like, oh, I got to get out of here. Like, I have to get out of here because energetically, Cleveland, the vibration is so low, and I am too free. I am too big. I am too lively for this city. And it was so heavy on me, not in a bad way, but like, what the heck? So I reached out to my friends. I'm like, yo, this is what I'm experiencing. And they could relate that they had a similar experience as they have traveled back and forth. And I was like, you know what? Like, when my son graduates, I am on the first ticket out of here. However, I'm not going to wait until then. Like, I want to travel even more, and I want to get paid to travel. So however that happens, I need to figure that out. But I want to get paid to travel for work and play. So who's ever listening, hit me up. But as I was sharing that with them, I'm like, I'm having all this boost of inspiration, and I've been wanting to continue painting in my home. So far, I've painted an accent wall in my living room area. I painted my bedroom, and I have been wanting to paint my hallway office nook for a while now. And so as I was sharing this with my friend, she was like, well, what you can do is create your own paradise in your home until you're able to relocate to the place you really want to be. And I'm like, all right, bets. So when she told me to create my own paradise where I'm at until I'm able to relocate, I was like, that is an amazing idea. And it reminded me how I wanted to paint. And so I went to Sherwin-Williams and I got several paint samples of this gold yellow color that I wanted to do in my hallway. And I found the perfect color. It's called Glitzy Gold. I got my paint, I got my rollers, I got all the things. And I think within the next several days, I had started painting. And when I tell y'all, the gold is absolutely stunning. I'm so in love with it. And then I also painted another wall in my living room, the same blue that I had painted the accent wall. And one of the reasons that I wanted to paint is because, number one, I wanted to bottle up the energy that I've been feeling from getting back from Tulum, but also my home needs to feel like my home. And I talked about this on Instagram the other day where I follow Carmeon Hamilton, and I'll link to her page in the show notes. And she did the show Renovate Your Rental. And I remember her talking about just because you live in an apartment doesn't mean that you can't make it your own. And so I am someone who is very vibrant. I love color. And so she was also the inspiration of like painting my home and making it vibrant and making it the way that I want it. And I need to feel energized. I need to feel light. Like I need to feel beautiful energy every time I walk into my space. And that is the atmosphere that I have created. And I love it. Like I am in love. Oh my gosh. I love it so much. And it just feels so good. So I share that to say that even if you're in an apartment or you're renting, don't be afraid to make your home your home. Like start making little bitty changes so that you can feel good, because it's the place where we spend the most time at and you want it to feel good. And so as I'm thinking about like the dyeing of my hair, going to Tulum and painting my home, it inspired me to share with you today that I want you to change your scenery. I want you to change some things up. Think about something, like one thing that you've been thinking about changing in your life, and I want you to do it. Don't think about the money. Like if you are someone who believes in manifestation and abundance and all of that, money is just energy. Like it comes and goes, like it flows in and out. So don't focus on that. But like, what is a thing that you're like, if I can do this, this will really make me feel good. Whether it's dyeing your hair, relocating, decorating your home, whatever that thing is, I want you to do one thing that's going to just light you up inside. And I'm telling you, just basking in the energy of going to Tulum, seeing my face every day, with my hair the color that I wanted, coming into my home, like I feel so rejuvenated. And I've been talking about this on the gram a little bit, like I'm in this space of rebirth and I can feel that all in my body. And I know it's because I am doing things for myself that makes me feel alive. And that is what I want for every single listener. I want you to feel alive. I want you to feel free. But that may mean you have to change up your scenery, releasing everything and everyone in your life that is keeping you stuck and holding you back. Like switch things up and stop living in fear. You have only one life, one. And if today is all that you have, what are you going to do with it? Are you going to continue to be miserable, unhappy, living in fear? Or are you going to say, you know what? Today, I want to be free. Today, I want to feel alive. What's that one thing I could do that makes me feel like that? And then you do that thing. And then you do another. And you do another. And the more you keep taking small steps forward, you will watch your life transform. I'm going to leave you with this. Today, my life looks completely different than what it did this time last year. This time last year, I had just left my home, newly separated from my ex, living with family because of how things went down until my apartment was ready. And I was in a very dark place. I could not imagine that I would be where I'm at today because it didn't even seem possible. It felt so far away that I couldn't even see it. But guess what I did? Even through the pain, through the hurt, and all of the stuff that was happening in my life and in my family's life, I kept taking one step forward. So the life that I'm living today, I fought for this shit first and foremost, and I deserve it, right? And I'm just going to continue to blossom and grow and be even more free. And so as you're watching me on social media, you're listening to the podcast and all of the things, know that I'm working for this level of freedom. And if you too want to be free, I just encourage you to take one step forward. And that step will look different for every single person listening. So you have to figure that out on your own. I encourage you to subscribe to my newsletter because this is a beautiful way that you can continue to engage with me, and not only you hear my words here on the podcast, but you can read my words. And I also have an option where now the community can begin to connect and chat with me. So you can subscribe to my newsletter. The link is in the show notes. Thank you so much for tuning in this week. Please, if you have not yet, share this episode with a friend and say, hey, let's listen to this together. Let's have a conversation about it. I would love for you to leave a 5-star review and a couple of words on Apple Podcasts to let me know how my work is inspiring you. You can ask questions, suggest a topic, or what have you. But the more reviews that I get, the more visibility that I get to the podcast, where more people can be inspired just like you. So it takes just a few seconds to just rate the podcast and leave a review. It means the world to me. So thank you, thank you, thank you. Also, if my work is inspiring you in any capacity, please, I would love that you would treat me to a cup of coffee. The link is in the show notes where you're able to do that, whether it's a cup or 2 or 3. Every week, someone treats me to coffee, and I'm so deeply grateful. I love this community so much, and I'm excited about where it's going. Thank you so much for just allowing me to be in your world, and sending you so much love and light. Until next time.